Hey everyone, we got the GOAT of our game, Linus Love, taking on, in my opinion, a very underrated player, asianflushie. Heads up. Flushie wins this battle going up $60,000 versus Linus, and there's a ton of massive pots that they played in this session. So let's get into it. We're going to start off playing as Linus himself, going for open raise here. Pretty solid board overall for Linus. It's by no means range bet, though he could play a couple strategies. Decides to check this time. The king turn, pretty good for Linus, has a lot of king X in range. He goes for the large bet with the king 5, which is fine. Generally, you want to bet large with your medium to higher kicker, king X plus, just because Flushie's going to check a lot of his middling king X's. He's going to play a very polarized lead on the turn, generally, would be the expectation, kind of like a 2-pair plus type event. So that's where you get this dynamic where if you go for a pot size bet, you generally want a higher kicker, but nothing inherently wrong with this play, obviously. That is just the way the theory kind of pencils out. Bam, right in his face, right? He goes for a very large raise here, B150. So it makes sense because he's essentially kind of polarizing his line around strong 2-pair plus, because Linus has king 2, king 8 in range and strong king X. So you can't really do single pair with the raise like this. And even like the lower end 2 pairs are kind of iffy because of the fact that Linus has king 8 and king 2 in range. So this is a very, very polarized raise. In Linus's hand, king X becomes indifferent, and Linus's hand here is actually mostly a fold. These lower king X's tend to fold, where the middling higher king X's kind of continue. May have something to do with the ability to counter like a king 10, which is squarely in Flushie's range. He does decide to continue. I mean, Flushie is known as a pretty quote-unquote spewy player, so you know, a lot of times the deviation will be to call a little lighter. So he needs position. He has position, so he decides to call. I think it's fair, and it's very entertaining for this video. Yeah, so he goes for the shove. And now we have decision time here for Linus. In theory, needs to be representing like basically sets and maybe like king 10 plus. It has to do with the fact that now he's hyperpolar. Linus has defended, and shoving anything worse than king 10 is pretty much a blunder from Flushie, because at least the way the theory kind of pencils out here is because Linus is only going to be defending like 2-pair plus mostly. He mostly should be folding like most of the king X region, the 1-pair region, sans very low frequency calls from various combos, just because of the nature of how polarizing Flushie's line is. But as we know, well, first off, not all this stuff works out the way theory should behave, just because people, obviously, especially these, you know, better players in the world, are constantly deviating. And Flushie, like I said, is known as a very aggressive player. And he makes the call, and wow, Flushie wins with 8-4 bottom, the low 2 pair. And this is very interesting, very, very, very interesting firsthand because of these deviations. Like I said, this in theory from Flushie is a big blunder, theoretically, for the reasons mentioned. And Linus's hand is almost a pure fold. It's not blundery to call or anything like that. It's actually kind of close to an indifferent hand. So Linus can basically just make a decision here. And Linus is deviating because he, on the turn too, like I said, is almost pure fold and nothing wrong with it. It's in a different hand. He can do what he wants really with it. And he decides to defend turn. He decides to defend river. And that's probably why to defend turn is he felt like Flushie's over bluffing this spot. And then he kind of just follows through on river, and same deal. He probably already knew what he was going to do on these kind of more blanky rivers, and he kind of just follows through. And this is where the crazy meta of high stakes comes into play, where Linus is making this deviation, knowing that Flushie, or at least assuming Flushie's over bluffing. Flushie's making a deviation to himself to Linus's deviation, not necessarily by bluffing less. I can't say what his bluffing frequency will be, but it's very clear to me that Flushie is deciding to take the value range way down, right? Like I said, this is Blunderville here with this hand, but if he knows that Linus is defending a lot of his King X, that is not a blunder anymore. Yes, you're just going to get stacked sometimes versus stronger 2-pair plus, but you're also, if your opponent is calling way light, then this hand becomes very profitable to shove. So you're seeing two massive deviations. This is an amazing hand and amazing spot where you're just seeing, Linus deciding to, I'm not going to say pure defend, but it kind of feels like it, because how could I know what he's actually doing? Is he RNG? And we know he's calling. We know he's not pure fully, and that's what we know. So it seems like Linus is making a deviation with King X and just kind of calling these King X combos. And then Flushie maybe is aware that he's going to defend these King X combos. And he's like, all right, then I'm just going to shove super light at it. So amazing first hand. What do you guys think's going on in this river? Just curious your thoughts, because it's such a amazing hand where there's multiple deviations going on. I'm just curious what you guys think. Okay, so next one here, we're Linus again. Got 4-7 suited. Pretty hand heads up. And we're going to go for the 3-bet this time. You're going to have a polarized range from the big blind. No problem, including some fun hands like this. And we get a fun flop. On Ace King 4, obviously we have a huge nut advantage on this board. Your opponent doesn't have aces, kings, ace, king. So Linus could take multiple strategies. We'll see. Interesting what he'll choose here. Okay, so he goes pot size. He's polarizing, obviously. He's deciding to polarize his range around the strong ace X plus region. And these 4X combos are beautiful because they're blocking strong hands from our opponent, right? Ace 4, pocket 4 is the strongest hands they could have. King 4, and it has backdoor spades. So they're actually really strong hands if you're going to decide to polarize. And I would fully expect him to continue turn. Again, for the same reasons, as they're blocking strong hands. You can start folding out like King X, maybe like Queen Jack floats, something like that. And he does continue, half pot. I think it's a great continue. I love the hand. It really feels like one of those gas pedal hands where you just, your foot's kind of got a lead weight and it's just, you can't pick it up. It's just like most rivers, you kind of just put the blinders on and fire away. Flushie tanks a little bit and goes for the calls. Okay, time. I mean, I think this, again, I think this is just where it's a kind of blank river. You just put the blinders on and you kind of continue for all the reasons said. You can fold out King X. I think that's your main target here. And blocking all those strong hands, unblocking folds, it seems great to me. Ooh, we get snapped. That's not good. Yeah, ace 8. That sucks. So that kind of just sucks. He just ran into super nutted part of Flushie's range. So I thought this is excellent 3-barrel bluff by Linus. Okay, we're Linus again. Next one. This time we downgrade slightly from the 7-4 suited, which would have been great on this flop, to 7-3 suited. Still pretty hand. We don't 3-bet this time. He goes for a polarizing pot size bet. Seems good. Our hand, we would never be folding 7x. So it's just pretty easy call. Board's starting to percolate up here a little bit. Interesting sequence cards. Lots of obviously straight draws, but not a flush draw board. So, and versus the large bet here with the gut shot and top pair, it's just unblocking a lot of bluffs. It's a very, very easy call. There's not what to say. The one interesting thing to look at is look how deep we are here. We're 200, over 200 big blinds left, effective. So could be some fireworks on the river. So right now it's comfortable for Linus. There's really nothing to think too much unless he's considering some sort of merge raise. Okay, Queen River. Okay, so Flushie goes for the overbet. So now we have a decision, and honestly, I think a lot of our one pairs become indifferent, however, some of them not so much, where the 7, like if you think about what our opponent's representing here, because on the river, we definitely 2-pair up a lot of hands. Like we have all Queen 7s in range. We have Queen 4 and Queen 2. Because of this dynamic, when Flushie goes for a large overbet, he's not really good. He's really representing sets and straights. that's really it. Again, we saw an earlier hand where he knows Linus is calling lighter. I think the situation might be a little different because there might not be as much one pair, like the King X really hit Linus in that other hand where he had a whole bunch of that and it was easy to kind of range some of those hands. I expect Flushie to play a little bit more closer to theory here. But yeah, it's definitely a possibility that we could consider like Flushie's also doing two pairs for those reasons, but there really is like a lot of two pairs that Linus can catch up. So I don't know, and you're playing 200 effective deep, that's another, interesting difference from the other hand, where if you do this with like, I don't know, do six or something, you're kind of going low end. I mean, if Linus is shoves, I mean, it's just putting you into a very difficult situation. So I expect, sets and straights is a big part. So we have a three, very important card to have here, and we're unblocking quite a bit of folds. We could be blocking some 3x, but I think the big thing is this is like one of the 7x combos you really want to continue at high frequency, maybe like a7 as well, just because its ability to block what our opponent is representing, and of course pocket sevens could be in there as well. So it seems like a really good defend hand. Based on this playing, I just don't expect Linus to fold. And he does call. And there you go. This time we had the bluff, which seems perfectly fine from Flushie. Seems like a really great bluff, actually. And yeah, Linus just correctly kind of plays this hand throughout and takes the stack. Okay, this time we're going to switch. We're going to play Flushie this time. Let's play balanced poker analysis here and play both sides of the coin, both players. Go for 3-bet with a7 suited. And we are playing fairly deep, almost 200 effective, a little less. And now we're facing 4-bet, a larger 4-bet. That's partly because we are deeper. And he does go ahead and continue. It's a really good board for Linus just because obviously he has the strongest ace king, ace x in range. Also is going to probably 4-bet a lot of 10x offsuit. And then Flushie's really concentrated in these like low medium pocket pairs, which are going to really struggle with their equity realization here, playing deeper out of position. So Linus can just go for like a range for small to kind of start. And then for Flushie, he's got a really strong hand. He'll just be continuing. So I fully expect this to go bet, call, and then we'll go to the turn. And he does go for the smaller type sizing, and fully expect Flushie just to call, and we'll see a turn. And there we go. Okay, we got 3 pair now for Flushie. If only that was a real hand. But it is a good card because it helps to unblock the bluffing range of Linus. Will become important when we get to the river. Also, very, very occasionally, I mean, Linus you could be blocking like a pocket sevens that plays this way. It's so low frequency, it's not something to really consider. But the 7, even though it doesn't really technically improve our hand strike, does improve overall our outlook because of the fact that, yes, we're just the random bluffs from Linus's polarized 4-bet range we are in blocking. I think that's important. And first, yeah, half pot, just pure continue there at day 7. Really don't want to do anything else. Now you're kind of sitting here and you're kind of just hoping to get the check down. But also secretly, you kind of feel like you have a nice hand to kind of pick off bluffs. So it depends who you are. You may kind of like want a shove here, depending how your opponent is. And he does find the shove. Yeah, and I think like just kind of the reasons talking about the turns, really tough to fold this hand. This is a very polarized bet because we're 200. Remember, we're close to 200 effective. If this is 100 big blinds effective, like you probably just call a lot of your ace x and not think about it. But when we're playing this deep, I mean, Linus is representing like ace king plus, maybe ace queen, but does have a lot of 10x in range. Very polarizing bet. It puts a lot of our ace x region into indifference. So it's not an easy call per se, but with our exact ace x hand, a7 here, I find a hard time justifying folding here. Unless for some reason you think Linus is under bluffing, but I mean, Flushie's definitely considering his options. This isn't probably not a pure call for him unless he does go for the call. And fortunately, Linus does have the king 10. That's a big pot. He scoops there. I don't blame Flushie at all. I think both lines are perfectly fine. There's not a lot I think Flushie can do to justify folding there. Okay, next one. We're back to Linus. Got 9-6 suited. A lot of fun low suited hands today. And he's going to choose the aggressive line, or about 150 big blinds effective. Always important to mention. Okay, decent board for Linus. His hand's got back doors, can fold over better, high cards. Definitely could get in there for bet or check. Either or, I think, is justified. We'll see what King Linus chooses to. Yeah. So it looks like Linus goes ahead and chooses the small bet strategy here, which again seems good. Teeing up for potential fun turn river. So in 4 clubs, I mean, you have a lot of hands to choose from. Clubs, straight draws. It's not like you're betting at a super high frequency when you go small on the flop. So this hand's kind of like low end on the bluff part. I mean, yeah, blocking 6-7, 6-8, that's cool. 4-6. But yeah, I think there's a lot of bluffs to choose from. This one generally wants to check. And now we have ace river, so Linus has the decision if he's going to give up this hand or continue. I think it makes for a pretty nice continue given the fact that 9-6, it doesn't seem like it has much going for it, but in reality, you can fold out a lot of high cards here. And I think that would be the genesis and the main benefit to betting a hand like these lower mid type cards, which he does go for that like 2/3 type size. He gets snapped. That's not good. Yeah, Flushie's never going to fold an ace here. But I think you're doing this bet to kind of fold out the king high, queen high type region. It's kind of like the main benefit, which puts all those hands in different tough spots. So I think I like how this played. I think it's played very well. And then Flushie, yeah, same. Flushie's line's pretty trivial. Okay, we'll go back to Flushie, and we're gonna have the 9-10 off this time. The button. Again, playing pretty deep. Not like very deep, but a little deeper. Worth mentioning. Linus aggressive with the 3 bets. Call. Open end straight draw. Kind of a fun board. It's a board, too, where Linus could take a lot of different strategies. Honestly, I don't know what he'll choose if he chooses to c-bet. Okay, so he goes for the overbet. Raising just seems like you're just out-leveling a hand that has a decent amount of equity. I think just call is good. You couldn't ask for a better turn, right? There's 3 turns that are pretty much perfect for you. And this is one of them. Actually, 2 out of 3 are probably better without the diamond. Less chance of getting, out flush river and diamond river. So this is like the golden card for Flushie, like literally the best card. And you got a board with a lot of possibilities, we're playing a little bit deeper. I mean, you got to be feeling good about life here. So yeah, if you're Flushie, I don't think you need to get cute here. I think there's just a lot of hands. Linus could be interested in continuing. Goes for the half pot. Setting up stacks for river seems perfectly fine. Just hope your opponent shoves here, don't you? With like ace 10, no clubs or something, that would be just brilliant. Or even better, like 5-7 or something like that. It's a very dicey river here. So the board pairs and the flush comes in. So that's a tough decision for Flushie, what he wants to do here. I mean, you're basically just going to be playing, you have 2/3 bet. I mean, realistically, Linus on this type of board, I mean, this is one of the best players in the world and never put past what he could have in his range. I mean, the full house shouldn't be that big of a concern because it's just on this board, like I said, Linus, you never know, but he does. I just don't think that, check call on the turn with like pocket queens or like a some sort of two pair size just going to happen that often. So I'd really discount that. The flush is definitely a concern. There's no reason why Linus can't have a decent chunk of his ring being flushes. So you kind of weigh that shoving versus, kind of just out leveling yourself versus better hands versus the times how often you think your opponent's going to call. It's very, very close. You need to make a judgment call on how many times they're going to call if that like ace queen aces type region versus, and then how often do you think they'll play like a flush draw this way. And I'm sure Linus, being the player he is I don't see why he wouldn't have flushes. So he does go for the check, and very surprisingly, so I think I like the check. I think I think it's a little fringy here to shove. Very surprising to see ace king. It has very low equity realization on turn to play check call versus half pot. You only have a few clean outs on river and you're out of position. You just got a lot of difficult situations to deal with. Yeah, it seems very, very lower end. Linus, you can see during this match that Linus seems to have a tendency to be overcalling versus Flushie, which could be correct given Flushie how aggressive a player he is. But in this situation, when you're kind of out of position here and you have like basically no equity realization and another street to go, it gets really difficult to kind of justify call. You would have to assume your opponent's playing like really, really out of line, I think. But it might be okay. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, this is obviously Linus, one of the best players in the world, but we're still, he is fallible. Like he is human, right? So he will make mistakes. I mean, do you guys think calling ace king on the turn's a mistake, or do you think it's fine? I mean, I'm just curious what you guys your take on it. My take is it's a little just doesn't mean enough to get over the hurdle for a call, in my opinion. But hey, it's a great match, and Flushie got the best of them this time. These guys battle all the time, so hopefully they'll battle soon again, and we can break it down. Thanks for watching, everybody. If you did like it, please sub, like, I would appreciate it. Helps the channel moving forward. So thanks, everyone. Have a good one. Bye-bye.